full name, Helen Caroline Matichak Schwab. Matichak, I went from to Schwab. What a way to shorten my name.
A little bit.
Okay, I was born in 1929,
What day?
and
What day? December.
Yeah, 19th. Oh my. I had an older brother, and then I had 2 brothers after that. 2 brothers are gone, but I still have one living that lives up in Elgin. My mom and dad didn't travel much, so they were home a lot. I never grew up with a dog in my home, or a cat, or nothing. We never had. Mom had a bird,
What kind of bird?
a canary that sang. And if that bird died, maybe from old age or whatever, she would get another one and named it the same thing. We never knew when there was a brand new bird, but she wanted a singing canary. My mom was pretty foxy there. It was pretty sweet. She was a wonderful lady. I was involved with baseball. I was a bobby socker. I'd have the roll-up jeans with the white bobby socks. I was a tomboy. I guess because I had brothers, I had to defend myself. I guess. I had 2 sisters, but they both died. One was 4 years old. She died in the hospital with pneumonia, and there was a 2-month-old that was born with something that wasn't right, and they're buried out there at St. Cyril Methodius. My grandparents, my grandfather was one of the founders of that cemetery, so he chose a big plot close to the fence as you first drive in, because then it goes down. He didn't want to be down in case they got flooded back there. That's just the stories I've heard. But I really don't remember much about my grandparents. My mother's mother, Busha, I remember her. She had a long braid, long hair. She had one braid, and she always would wrap it around the back. When she passed away, that was the first one I ever did hair on someone deceased, and I wanted her to look natural, so I went to the funeral home and I braided this long braid and wrapped it around like a crown. She looked beautiful.
How old was she when she passed?
I don't know, but I'm sure she's not as old as I am.
Sure.
I don't believe she was that old, but she was a little short, Polish. They came from Poland. But my grandfather, I don't remember, his name was Hippolyte, and her name was Caroline. That's why I took her name as my middle name when I made confirmation. I went to a Catholic grade school, St. Mary's on Eastern Avenue, for 6 years, and I walked to school from Eastern Avenue. But I don't know how it was, but then I guess they wanted me to go to the public school. So I went to Central, which was where the old Sears is now. I remember making my own graduation dress. White eyelet. Oh my God. But you learn things that you didn't learn at the Catholic school. So, but when I started high school, I always wanted to be a nurse. So I went to the hospital and I put the application, and I was a nurse's aide for 4 years while I was in high school. I used to walk from the east side to the west side, and if I was walking over the bridge and the boat was coming and blew a whistle, I'd run like hell because it scared me to think of the thing's going to open up. That was ridiculous. And if I worked till 9 o'clock, 4:30 to 9 after school, my mom would come up and pick me up, or we would walk home together, whatever. But she drove up most of the time because I was on the east side of that hospital. I was going to be a nurse. But then in my senior year, I was taking care of Dr. Elmer Stevens' mother. And of course I loved it. I didn't mind emptying bedpans or giving baths, and that are things I learned. I loved doing it. And of course I love people. And Dr. Stevens said, "Helen, how would you like to come and work for me?" I said, "No, I'm going to be a nurse. I want to be a nurse." He said, "Well, why don't you just come and work for the summer and see how it works out?" I was there for 10 years. I was there for 10 years. In the meantime, I got married. And, of course, with Grandpa, he was a sweetheart. Anyhow, they had a Ouija board.
Did you?
That you asked questions. That was so stupid. That was so dumb. And people believed the stuff that came up.
Yeah.
I never did. I could not.
Who was your childhood friend? Did you have a best friend when you were a little kid?
Helen Gasbridge Lazar.
Yeah.
Or Lazar is her maiden name. Gasbridge is her married name. She died a few years ago, but she was my best friend.
Yeah.
In fact, I borrowed her wedding gown because we got married so fast. I never had my own wedding gown. I had my
Wow.
own veil,
Yeah.
and I wore her wedding dress. It was beautiful.
It was your something borrowed.
But I had my own veil.
I love
But
it.
then again, yeah, she was my best friend. We did a lot together. Yeah, I learned to drive when I was young. Driving the Model A, that was something else again. That was fun. But I learned to drive on a stick,
Mhm.
so it's kind of nice not having to drive. Of course, now this car I have, I've got the map, or backup camera, and if I want to find out where I'm going, there's a way of doing it.
You don't even have to put the key in anymore.
No, I push the button, and Hannah bought me a diamond circle, rhinestone circle that goes over the push button. So it's a girl thing. So I thank Hannah every time I push the button. Thank you, Hannah. So when I was in high school, probably a senior, a girlfriend and I were going to go up to the park, St. Joe's Park, because they had a dance every Saturday night. And she lived near me, and we used to walk downtown and stood in front of the Rialto Theater waiting for the bus to take us up on the west side. And Grandpa and two of his buddies were in a car, and Grandpa's like this leaning out the window, driving by the Rialto, and, "Hi, girls!" And I knew Grandpa just because his mom and dad knew my mom and dad. I didn't really know him a whole lot as far as doing anything. And then they went around the block again, and, "Hi, girls. Are you going up to St. Joe's? Yeah. How would you like a ride?" "Well, sure, we're going to take a ride." Well, that started something because he was at the bar, and I thought, you know what? I socked him on the arm and said, "You going to sit here and drink all day, or are we going to go dance? Let's go dance." And we danced. And it was every day after that. He came to see me, and he liked my folks, and it was like, I guess it was from the beginning. Oh, my God. But we used to go swimming. We used to do a lot of things swimming at these, like American Legion. They had like a pond, with mud at the bottom. I'd go off the diving board and I'd bring up a handful of mud. I was like, ridiculous. But after I met Grandpa, we went together a couple years. He gave me a ring in October. That was the second year. And in the third year, we decided if he was going to Germany, we would get married, and if he was going to Korea, we wouldn't, because there was a war going on at that time. So when he got his orders that he was going to Germany, we got married real quick. It was a small wedding. I'm sure everybody thought I was, but I wasn't. Grandpa was a gentleman. He was a real, anyhow. So we were married, and I wrote him a letter every day when he was in service. And then he was going to go to Paris, and I sent him his clothes, his suit. He never had a suit before, but he got a suit when he got married. So I sent him suit, tie, shirt, shoes, everything. So after he went to Paris with some of his buddies, then he let his clothes be, everybody else was borrowing because they were going to be taking a trip. His clothes got worn several times, but anyhow. When he got out of service, he was going to go to Michigan for his mustering out pay, and I flew there to be with him. And it was great. Grandpa was a great supporter. So he got out in March, and of course we lived upstairs from Grandma and Grandpa with Mom. They had four rooms. They were nice size rooms, but 4 rooms we had. And we saved our money. Grandpa went back to work at Argonne National Lab. He worked at Argonne when he got out of high school. So he had a job waiting for him when he got out of service. He was in service almost 2 years. But coming out in March, Laura was born on Christmas Day. And then the following year, Jeff came. No, the year after that. There was a year that skipped. And then when Jeff was born in February, the following October, Robyn came. So we had one year and another year. Living upstairs from my mom and dad for those 10 years, we had to go downstairs to bathe because there was only just the toilet there. No closets. Everything was under the bed. Oh, God. So that's when Grandpa decided, gotta do something. We're moving out of here. We had 4 kids in 1 bedroom. Oh, my God. That's, but it was nice. I love this home. And I am so grateful I can stay in this home. My babies was I loved having my family. Like I said, I had them close. I had 5 and 8.5 years.
Yeah.
But I loved that. I was meant to be a mom. In fact, we had the 4 kids when we moved in here. And I remember Delaney's lived on the corner here because they built that home with the roof like this. And they just had the 2 boys, Mitchell on the next street, Grandpa's sister, they had just 2. And we had the 4, we moved in here, and we were all at the Delaney's, and we broke the news that we're going to have another baby. And one of his sisters says, "Another kid?" I said, "Well, Rita, we're not asking anybody to help us." I'm like, duh. I loved having my babies, Robyn.
Yeah.
I can't say, and you know, people say, well, if someone's pregnant, they say, "Oh God, I had an awful time," or I didn't listen to nobody,
No.
because everyone is different. That's not.
It's
but
so cool to feel them in your belly.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. The movie, that was there again.
It's a special
I
time.
am grateful I had great kids.
Did you
Good births.
did you nurse? Was that something that happened then?
At the beginning,
Yep.
but then the more kids you have,
It's harder.
it's harder because there's not enough milk to go
Yeah.
to feed baby. By the time Sherry came, it again, your body changes, and
Yep.
but I did at the beginning.
Yep.
And of course, then after we had the 4 kids, we started looking at homes. We bought this lot, and it was one of the big lots. There weren't many homes out here at all. And when we were getting kind of crowded with bunk beds and cribs, and Grandpa said, "I got to do something." So we went looking. He didn't like anything we saw, so he said, "You know what? I think I'm going to build." It took him 23 months from the day the hole was dug and the day we moved in. I had nothing. He drew up the plans. He knew what he wanted with the hot water heat, the plastered walls. He had that done. But he did the electric, the plumbing, the brick on the outside. We couldn't afford this home with all the kids, 4 kids we had. Of course, then we moved in June, and here comes the next 4th of July, Cheryl. In fact, Grandpa Schwab won that Model A years and years and years ago, 39 Model A.
So
and
that's
he always wanted Buddy to have it.
yes. Okay.
So after it was parked in the neighbor's barn behind us, and her nephew came over one day, and Goodson's nephew came over and said, "Schwab, you got to get the Model A out. I got a couple old cars coming." So Grandpa came in and said, "Well, babe, I'm going to put up a garage." I'm thinking, what car garage? Fine. He started measuring out there, and Bob Abens next door had a pool. Our yard looked like a park. Our yard, grass was beautiful. And Grandpa went out there measuring, and Bob was up on the pool. He said, "Hey, Bud, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to put up a garage." He said, "Geez, that's going to ruin my view." Hey, Bud, Grandpa said, "Hey, you got your pool? I want a garage." So he put up this 28 by 40 garage. And I'm like, holy cow, with a furnace. So when he started building this home, they would come out and give him a helping hand. But he was working afternoons. And they came out after work when he was working, and they started putting the roof in the back, and the roof was going at an angle. So of course he came out the next day and he said, "What the hell?" Pulled it all off and snapped a line and got it straight. Those guys came out that afternoon after work and saw, "What the hell, we had all this other done." So they called him out. He said, "It was going crooked. You guys didn't snap a line." They said, "But geez, it's the back, so what?" He said, "Well, if you can't do any better than that, don't come back." And they didn't. They didn't come back. Grandpa was everything had to be right.
Yeah.
In fact, when he did the brick, and this is Roman brick, you can't even buy this brick anymore, this long, narrow brick. He had brick left over. And of course he put a big cement patio for the kids, the boys, to run their cars, and had a picnic table behind the garage. So after several years, he decided, I've got this brick left over, so he put a wall up about maybe 25, 30 inches of a wall with the brick. But the wall that went from the house out, I don't remember how many feet, 6, 8 feet, whatever it was, before he went the length of it, my dad came out with it. He lost an eye. He fell from a scaffold. He was an iron worker, and he lost his vision. He had fractured ribs and fracture in the lumbar. But so he lost a vision in one eye. And he came out there and he says, "Hey, bud, this wall is crooked." And sure enough, Grandpa measured it, and it was. He tore the whole wall down and redid it. My dad was so proud of him that he did it over again. That was pretty cool to see. But Grandpa put a lot of hard work in here. Like I said, 23 months. But I cooked meals. When the guys were working here, I baked. My mom and I would make, barbecue. We'd make all kinds of food. Hams, sliced hams, where they would have something to eat. When I was expecting Jeff, Laura had chicken pox. And I'm thinking, how can I go to the hospital? Well, my cousin Betty came and stayed with him while I was in the hospital. That was a fast birth, the second one. The first one, I only labored. We went to the hospital 11 o'clock at night for Laura, and she was born at 3:15 in the morning. That was fast. But I didn't want to go. But I couldn't back out. But that was so
They don't
funny.
stay in, do they?
They were having Christmas, right? They were having Christmas Eve dinner at my mom's. I couldn't go downstairs, from upstairs to downstairs. Mom had a beautiful dinner, but I couldn't eat. I laid across the bed, and by 11 o'clock I said, "I think we better go," and we did. And she came just a few hours later. It was cool. I had a good doctor, and of course they didn't allow the husbands to be there like they do today. Yeah. Grandpa would have been there in a heartbeat if it was his child's being born. I had the best of the bunch. Grandpa had 8 sisters, 2 brothers, and he was the youngest of them all. But he was a go-to guy. He loved me a lot. I've had so many good memories. And everyone has their ups and downs in the life, but it didn't last long. Grandpa was a peacemaker, and I loved that. 2 of his sisters didn't think I was good enough for their baby brother, but we proved them wrong. And I'm real close with Lois Delaney, his only sister that's left. His brother Dick dropped dead with a massive heart attack at 45. But Grandpa had a 5 bypass. He had cataracts. He had a lot of things. He had issues with him, with his heart and with different things. But we had a good life. Grandpa and I were blessed with 58 years, and I thank God every day for all of them. He was a supporter of what I did. I liked crafts. We would drive out in the country to pick bittersweet. We got grapevines so that I can make wreaths or heart-shaped, and we'd go pick our own vines out in the country and come home, and he would help me. I was in a couple of craft shows. I made a few bucks. When Grandpa he got a car. His dad won a 1939 Model A when he was living on Cora Street. He took a quarter chance, and they called him up and said, "Hey, Henry, you won the Model A." He said, "The hell you say?" He didn't believe him. They had to bring it up to him. So he had that Model A, and when Grandpa was in Germany, I used to walk up from the east side, and I would take him. He had real arthritis, real bad in his knees, so he really couldn't drive.
This is your dad, right?
My grandpa.
Your grandpa.
Grandpa's dad.
Grandpa's dad. Okay.
My sweetheart's dad. Grandpa Schwab.
Yes.
Henry was his name. And Josephine was his mom's name. And I would walk up there, and I would take him out to Highland Park. On Route 6, there was a way to get in the back way to the park, and he would walk along the side looking for mushrooms. As I'm either parked, I find a place to park, or I kind of let him, because he couldn't walk too far with his knees. And he would say, "Hot damn it, B," he said, "you can sure drive this car." He was so tickled. When Laura was born, she was always in frilly little pinafores and ruffles and stuff. And he would say, "Give that kid a candy bar so she can get 30. Jeff was something else again. We were going to a wedding party, something, and got the kids all ready, and we were going to get ourselves ready. Jeff was outside in the backyard, upstairs with my mom and dad. Not a grass, it was mostly just dirt. Jeff, got all muddy. get to give this kid another whole bath and clean clothes again before we could go to the wedding or party, whatever we were going to.
How old was he?
So, about 5, 4.
Mm-hmm.
The kid likes to get dirty and muddy, play. We learned a lesson. You don't let them out if you're ready to go. They have to wait until we get ready, which we were always the last ones to get ready. So we spent Christmas with them. And right after that, Jeff had to leave, so Grandpa drove him to the airport when they were going to Honduras. And that was the last we saw him until he came back. He was there 2 weeks to the day. But the word, and again, when we were having, Grandpa was working, and he came in the door. I had dinner ready, and the phone rang, and it was a Major Smith from Fort Campbell. And I speak to Mr. Schwab, and I'm like, Dad? And he took the phone, and I heard him say, bullshit, don't tell me that. And he broke the news that Jeff was killed in Honduras. And it was tough. And then it was not long after that, the doorbell rang, and there were 2 servicemen coming to say they were so sorry for the loss of our son. And I was like, oh my God. But ironically, Sherry was going to work at the Charlie Club that afternoon. And that was at 4 o'clock. And she heard on the radio that a helicopter pilot was killed in Honduras. So as soon as she got to work, God, I got goosebumps down to my toes. As soon as she got to work, she called and said, Mom, I just heard on the news that there was a helicopter pilot killed in Honduras. I said, oh, Sherry, I'm sure there's a lot of helicopter pilots down there. And so that we got the news, and Grandpa said we need to go over and get Sherry. And I called her and said, Dad's going to come and pick you up. She screamed, and it was below zero. She ran out of the Charlie Club, running to Black Road when he pulled in to pick her up. I don't know how we got her car home, but it was just devastating. So we let all the family know. So we all left that night to go down to be with Karen and the boys. It's something you don't think that can happen, that you can lose one of your kids. Not when they're so young. He was 27. He would have been 28 in February. He would have been, next week, he would be 63. Yeah. But you don't forget. You just don't forget. But these are tragedies in your life that you don't. But the support of a family, there's nothing like it, Robyn. There's nothing like it. Of course, Ronald Reagan was the president when Jeff was killed. He called us.
Wow.
And there was another politician that called us. And I thought that was pretty nice. I'll tell you how I am. If I read in the paper or hear on TV something that I don't agree with, there was a time right after Jeff was killed that over in Somalia, they had an American that they dragged through the street. That bothered me, so I wrote a letter to the president, and I got an answer. I wrote another letter to a different president, and I got an answer. I guess I feel I have to express my feeling, because I know how this has affected us with losing our son, Jeff. And yet I say, thank God it happened. If it had to happen, that he never knew what hit him.
No.
Because if he ended up just paralyzed and couldn't enjoy his boys, life is tough, but who said it's going to be easy?
Let's talk about the kids. What is your favorite thing about Aunt Laura?
Very talented girl. Robyn is a big thinker.
What do you remember from when Aunt Robyn was born?
That was number 3. let's see, with Laura.
Laura
had
was
chicken
quick.
pox with Jeff. Robyn in October.
It was a little bit ago.
Yeah. 60, 60 years ago. She was a cute little blondie. And look at all my pictures of my kids. Oh my God.
How about Aunt Sherry? What do you remember from when she was little?
Oh God, I was thrilled to her. She didn't want to come out.
Oh no.
No, that was the 4th of July. No, I missed the fireworks, but I had my own fireworks. No, no, I was ready to go, but she wasn't ready. But she was a good baby. She's classy. Sherry is real classy. Like Robyn, your godmother. She's pretty classy. Dresses beautifully. That's what I say. They have a flair.
What do you remember from when my dad was younger, Greg?
Greg? Greg was a good kid, I want to tell you. Yeah, he played ball. I loved his hair. And he used to put a nylon stocking on over his kinky hair to bring it down. And then when he got in high school, then he started doing this with it, like a big fro, because he had beautiful hair. Yeah, he was good with Grandpa, I have to say. In fact, when Grandpa retired, we didn't take vacations. Maybe we had one big one that we took my mom and dad. We were going down to Branson, Missouri. Nothing like it is today.
Sure.
We had a blue station wagon. We got these big moving blankets from Fitzgerald's where we got most of our furniture. And so we were all excited, invited Mom and Dad. We were going to leave wee hours of the morning, so they came out and stayed and slept a couple hours before we took off. So Grandpa had the car in the garage, had it all loaded on top with all the stuff we were taking, and all the blankets were in the back of the station wagon for the kids to sleep. Packed a lunch. The time to go, Grandpa couldn't get the car out of the garage because it was up too high. He had to take everything off of the top of the car and back it out and re-back it up there. But I don't think we were at the end of the road. The kids are saying, I'm hungry. Are we there yet? It's like no patience at all. That was a fun trip. My dad, I could picture him climbing up into a tree and coming down a slide. My dad was up in years. I mean, he was probably in his 60s. That was old at the time. Jeez. 89 is old too, but that's okay too, as long as you can do the things you do. But anyway, we had a great time down at it. Jeff was in the pool, off the diving board, in the pool, out of the pool, off the diving board. The guys that owned the place said, I can't believe this kid, all the energy he's got. He loved swimming the pool. He knew how to swim. He was a good kid. I have pictures somewhere.
Yeah.
I believe it was 60. Oh, God. That's
Yeah.
so long ago. When our kids, they all went to St. Mary's, but they had their choice of high school, and that was okay. But I'm proud of each and every one of them for what they've accomplished in their lives. And I think you never get over a tragedy that happens in your family, because in growing up you don't expect that. You don't. But who said life is going to be easy? Nobody. Nobody. So you live your life, and I guess my Sherry has said to me, Mother, doesn't it make you sad to go to all these funerals? After Grandpa passed, I really got involved with the funerals. Mm-hmm. And there was a Polish priest with this, and he said, I need 2 wine, you and you. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never been up on the altar. I thought, can I do that? And I did, and you know, I was comfortable with it. So I decided to take the training to be a Eucharistic minister. And I love being up. I tell these altar people, you're so lucky to be so close to God. Because they're serving the good Lord. And again, I don't consider myself a holy roller, not by any wish at all, not at all. But I find a lot of peace going to church. And I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful every day. But Grandpa was he liked a clean car, and I guess he was in maintenance at Argonne for 42 years. I think when a person can show their love, like I said, Grandpa, he held the door open for me, and he held my hand, and he was very a gentleman. He always had a lot of respect for me, as I did with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was always so kind. Communication. Communication. You know, I don't believe Grandpa and I, we've disagreed on many things through the years, but we always, at the end of the day, we hugged and kissed, and everything was okay. Everything was, he was just a lot of good memories. And again, I guess because I married a great guy, I was before I got together with Grandpa. There's a fella that I went out with him a lot. He'd take me to Chicago to see South Pacific and all these beautiful plays and that. And he asked me to marry him. And he had a big company, finance. George Stoffen. He's on Black Road. He had a big office there. He's got a nice family, live in Timberline. His wife Irene. He just passed away a couple years ago. But he was a gentleman. He was a real gentleman. I have to say, he treated me royally. But I couldn't marry him. I wasn't ready. But once I met Grandpa, it was like, but I had known him before, and the more I got to know him, the more I loved him. He just, you know. You really want to know, Robyn?
Yeah, tell me.
I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but when we would go swimming, he had a pair of swim trunks that had slits on the side, but they were open. And I always thought that looked so cute on a guy. Isn't that silly? And now that I look back at that, he looked sexy. He looked, I mean, they wear all boxer shorts now. They're all down to the knees and that, but he wore these, oh God, love them. How I could remember. And they were a real pretty color. Oh my God.
What color?
They were a real deep maroon. And when he had a tan, his skin was tan where the stripes weren't. Oh my God, Robyn, that makes me laugh when I think back because it's so long ago. Oh my God.
What did he love about you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably because I'd punch him in the arm if I wanted to do something. I don't know. No, I was easy to get along with. He liked my mom and dad. I love to bake. Baking is my therapy.
What's your favorite thing to bake?
Coffee cakes with yeast. I buy my yeast by the pound at Sam's Club because, in fact, they came in 2, so I've got one in the freezer now, but I love baking coffee cakes with the cream cheese filling. Oh, I make petites at Christmas time, and I share with some real special people. That my family, my girls each get one. I love my home, but I have to admit, I don't dust every... That's not my priority. That's not my Isn't that awful?
I don't either, Grandma.
That's not my priority. I mean, yeah, I strip my bed every week or 10 days, and I clean the toilets, but I don't dust. Like I said, I am so grateful. I've had my both knees done. I've had cataracts on both eyes. I've had my appendix out. And I'm fine. I bowl every Wednesday. But when I had bronchitis, I couldn't. I was coughing too much. I missed it. And for the last several years, I never missed a day. But this year I did. Because I had this bronchitis. It hurt. But when you think of how old I am, I thank God every day that my health has been... My mom was only 66. She had colon cancer. So I say, thank you, God. Blue. Blue. I love blue. Wine.
Good. Red or white?
Moscato.
Ooh.
Or Zinfandel. Oh, God. When I was younger, I have a lot of hair. I used to wear my hair up with a bunch of curls. Then I'd put a braid around that. A braid around that I found that matched my hair. But then I started getting headaches. Come to find out it's from the pins.
Oh.
So I had to do away with that hairdo. But I love to have my hair up like that. The Pickers.
Yeah. The American Pickers.
The American Pickers. I love watching those guys. To see what these people collect in that. And I like the Property Brothers too.
What?
To see how they can renovate. And of course, the husband and wife,
Gaines.
Fixer Upper.
Oh, Fixer Upper, yes.
With Joanne and
Joanna and Chip.
Oh my God. I think she does an amazing job with, and yet maybe I wouldn't want plants hanging on my wall and stuff like that. But how she can create, I think she does. And now they've got this new baby and it's just, I love it. I think it's great. They're so together, you know?
Yeah.
He cares about her and it shows. She cares about him and it shows.
Yeah.
That's where it is. I love these pictures of my family.
What kind of soup? What kind of soup is it?
It's Mexican wedding soup. Mexican wedding soup. Robyn
It's
gave
gonna
me
be
the recipe.
good.
It's got spinach, celery, onion, carrots. Little stars of pasta.
Yum.
Good stuff. I have that recipe here. Well, whatever. Don't take it up me, Robyn. Give me a little stinker. Shoot. Hot stuff.
Thanks, Grandma. I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. If we didn't agree on something, that was okay, but you had to give a little bit. But whatever.
Yeah.
When Grandpa and I, when he got out of service, we bought unfinished furniture, the round table, and these captain's chairs. I think we had 4 captain's chairs when he came home from service, but then we started having kids, and of course, you know, we didn't have enough chairs. But it was unfinished furniture. That's how we started out. And I don't know how we got other stuff, but we didn't have the money to buy a lot of new stuff for our home.
No.
And again, we lived upstairs really cheap by my mom and dad.
So was it an apartment or was it just a second level of their house?
It was an apartment upstairs.
It was an apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that it didn't have a shower or
Shower.
a tub.
Okay.
We had to go downstairs to bathe.
Yeah.
So, but it was just 2 bedrooms,
Yeah.
kitchen, big kitchen, and the living room.
Yeah.
That's all. We lived there for 10 years. Then Grandpa said,
With 4 kids.
yeah, yeah. And after the 4th one, he said, I got to do something. So that's when he decided. And we bought the lot. Do you know we paid $1,500 for this lot?
Wow.
And it was a big lot. Goodsons lived behind. Fides lived in that home across behind us. And then Goodsons. And Grandpa was good to them. He did all their repair work, fixed a washer, dryer, air conditioner. He painted. He did a lot of work for them. That's why they let him park the Model A in that barn back there. When the kids would come here, Grandpa'd have a bonfire in the back, skating rink out in the back, put that big wood frame with all the plastic and frozen ice. Grandpa always had a bonfire. Kids would go home and get a potato and put it into the coals, the red coals, so they can have a baked potato. Lots of fun, lots of good memories.
You said he would set up an ice skating rink in the backyard?
Way in the back, yeah, where the burn barrel is, to the right.
Okay.
That tree wasn't there, and that little bush wasn't there.
Okay.
But Grandpa had a pretty good size. He put the wood down first, then he had this great big sheet of plastic that had no seams in it, and he put water and it froze. But he put always a bonfire for the kids to. But they would come and he'd have a fire in the stove, and they'd put their gloves on there to dry while they went and used the bathroom, so they didn't come through the house to use the bathroom with their boots and everything. They could come right in there. Yeah, we always had a lot of kids around here, and it was nice. 'Cause our kids had a lot of friends. I have wrinkles
Mm-hmm.
But I know people that are my age that look worse than I do. Is that awful to say?
No, what's the secret? Tell me more. What's
I
the secret?
don't. I use Olay. I don't know. That would be a damn good advertisement for Olay, wouldn't it? But I take care of myself, Robyn.
Yeah.
I go to my dentist and I go to my cardiologist. My family doctor, I had to go to her when I had this with my bronchitis.
Yeah.
And I had for the x-ray. She said it's either pneumonia or bronchitis. Well, it was bronchitis.
Yeah. That was a couple weeks
And I
ago.
handled that. But I stayed home. I missed bowling. For the last several years, I've never missed bowling.
Yeah.
I bowl every Wednesday morning, come hell or high water. But
2019 is very different than 1929. Is there anything that keeps you up at night? In
yeah,
our
going
world?
to the bathroom. I shouldn't say that by being videotaped or whatever.
No, that's
oh
perfect.
My God. What does the world need? People to not judge other people. That's so common for that to happen. That people judge and then they react, whether it's to hurt someone. That's so sad. I'm close with Lois.
Yeah.
She doesn't get the paper, so I'll cut out articles. She loves Trump.
Oh, yeah.
So
Do you love Trump?
Do I?
Yeah.
No. But I let her talk. My mom was 66, my dad was 84. And here I am, 89 years old. What am I most proud of? My family. My family first. I am. Each and every one of you, Robyn. I hope a good heart, and I show my love for my family. My family is really important to me. And I'm proud of each and every one of you kids for what you've accomplished with your home, your babies. I hope I'm lucky to go like Grandpa. He slept away. That's what he wanted. Mm-hmm. He said, I want no more hospital, no more nursing home. He said, I hope the good Lord lets me sleep away. And I'm like, Dad, you know, how many people get their wish? Yeah. He was 9 years older than his mom and dad. They were 71 when they both died. You have to enjoy them when they're little because, you know, I love my babies.
Oh.
But then they start getting bigger and bigger and then on their own and making their own, you know, and then they're like gone. They're yours, but they're friends. And then, you know, their decisions. Yeah, it's a process, but how wonderful to see. How wonderful to see the kids. Like I said, I'm proud of each and every one, as Grandpa would be too.
Yeah.
Dad and I talked about that a lot, Robyn. I say I don't like being alone, but I'm not really alone. My girls call me. They know I don't drive at night. I say that's why I'm still here. Because my girls care. My girls care. I've been fine because I can still cut my own grass and I can still go bowling every week. And it's something I love doing.
All right, cheers. We're done.
Here, here.
Well, quit bugging
Here.
her. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers
Thank
to you too. I love you,
Thank
sweetheart.
You. I love you too.
Good.
To good health and to many more years.
Many more years, not many more years. And you get tired, Robyn. I sometimes take naps in the afternoon.
Good.
But I'm up at 5:30.
Well, that's why.
Lois called. I don't know why, but I'm in bed by 9.
Yeah.
Very seldom. If I'm watching a program, one time I was up till 10. I forget what it was. And I thought, God, I'm 10 o'clock. This is way past my bedtime. I love you, each and every one of you. Absolutely. From morning till night. Love you, love you, love you.
Aww.
God bless my wonderful family. Here's to you, kid. Amen. Okay, you can turn it off now.
Deal.
Robyn.
Lights off.